back here on Coach's Corner. And today we're having Coach Cooper Henderson, the head football coach here at Artesia, who also serves as the athletic director. And Coach, good to see you again.
Good to see you, Jim.
And I know since we've talked last, we've had a few football games, and last week we went up to Clovis, and the week before that we played Las Cruces.
I like talking about that.
Let's talk about that one. Well, Las Cruces was a very outstanding ball game for the Bulldogs, both offensively and defensively. And I think one thing that we notice more about the Bulldogs over and over as each game goes by, our defense gets better and better.
We really have. I think we've really started to play a really aggressive type of defense. I've been real pleased with the steps. No doubt in that game, one of the things that stood out the most were 4 interceptions, and
right.
that really puts you in great shape in any ball game. And it definitely was a fun game. I think at any level, I guess college or any level, if you're not careful, those rankings don't mean so much, because on a given night, someone's ready to play, someone's not ready to play. Things can happen, and we definitely had a good ball game against Las Cruces, who still ranked pretty high in 5A. They're not as high as they were when we played them number 2, but they're still ranked up there high.
Well, I know talking with other people and visiting after the ball game, one of the things that a lot of people talked about, and I know I've noticed during the ball game itself, was the fact that we were getting 8, 9, 10, and 10 people to the ball every time. And in the past, it's taken us maybe 3 or 4 people to get to the ball. But boy, I just couldn't get over how many people you got to the ball. That you have a goal in that too, don't you?
We do. Our goal is to get 8 people to the ball 80% of the time, and we are improving a lot on that goal. I think. When all the pieces start working together is when it starts working well. Is that one part for the backers to get to the ball, the defensive line has to do their job, and for the secondary to fit right in the tackling scheme, the linebacker has to fill in the right hole. And we're just getting more familiar and playing better and playing with more confidence. And I do believe we could have been able to see that. And we talk about Clovis, really the second half of the Clovis game. Played real well in that area.
Well, I know against Las Cruces, you mentioned those 4 interceptions, and you have some really talented athletes back there in that defensive secondary for the Bulldogs this year.
We're real pleased. I think when you get the hang of what it takes to kind of break on the ball, make a big play, you start believing you can do it. You start picturing those things happen, and they start happening more often. And I think that's what we've seen here recently for us.
Well, I know in that ball game there were several times it looked like the receiver is wide open, and from across the field it would be one of those safeties or the other come across and just reach up and tip the ball away there at the last second.
You bet. Ryan and Trevor both have covered a lot of ground and done what you like to do with safeties, and I say we're excited about where we are.
And you spoke about the defensive line also. I know that's a position that doesn't get a whole lot of recognition, and you've kind of, in the past, didn't the Bulldogs run the 4-3, and you've kind of gone to a 3-4 now?
Right, and people call it different things.
Yeah.
But 3-4 is probably what more people would call it these days. And I think it's taken us a little while to get familiar and to work with it as the year went on. But you can see we really can adapt, and really I think we've been able to fit some styles of offense, and we see people who run a lot of different offenses, tight ends, wides, and it seems a little more adaptable for us, and we've been real pleased with the progress we've made. We still, a game like Clovis, we're in the trenches. I think both sides of the ball we struggled. Clovis is pretty good up front, and we struggled a little bit there, but we're getting better.
Well, going back to Las Cruces offensively, the Bulldogs put a lot of points on the board in that ball game, and the offense was in sync from the opening kickoff in that ball game.
Really helps when you can run in, throw a ball, which this year at times we've been able to do that well. And we had a big night. Andy, of course, running the ball and blocking up for him and making yards. And then when you can complement that with the throwing game and keeping people honest both directions, things went well. Wish they'd gone as well last week. Not quite so well.
Well, I know you keep records on things. the 98-yard touchdown pass and run, was that a Bulldog record or?
And honestly, I've had a few questions. I look up. One thing I will say, I try to be the least knowledgeable about records because I really don't ever want to call something in a game just to make a record or not.
Sure.
But I could remember, I can remember two other than it tests people's memory. Eric Hart, we had a 98, 99-yard pass up at Taos, which is a little different quality competition once up there when we're throwing uncovered to him. And some people that remember way back in the 60s, we had in a state game quarterback Mike Stout that ran for about 96 for a quarterback sneak once against Highland. So anyhow, it recalled some different memories from people, and maybe if someone knows of a longer one or a longer one, but those are definitely fun and game changers, just like interceptions. When you can make a 98-yard touchdown, it changed momentum for sure.
Well, what was nice about that came right after a turnover or a stop. I can't remember which one. And then you score on that first play. Boy, that just knocked the wind out of Las Cruces.
It really did. They had us backed up against the goal, and Kobe, and actually I would say it'd have to be the longest one because when you really look at the play, he ran more than 98. He ran across the field and then up the field.
He did.
so he really had to run more than 98 yards. So it was a big play.
Well, that's sprinter speed was quite evident.
It was very helpful. In fact, we kidded him about whether he was in track shape or not. I think the last 10 yards he might have been not quite in track shape.
Well, I tell you, it was an exciting play for the fans to watch and an exciting play to describe on the radio. And I know we could have used a couple of those the next week when we went up to Clovis.
We should have saved one or two of those, shouldn't we?
Yeah. Well, the Clovis Wildcats, traditionally, year in and year out, they're going to be a running team, a ball control team. They're going to pitch it left, pitch it right, and run up the middle, and they were successful in their game plan.
They were, and they're a very good ball club, big people, strong people. I think, and I really sincerely believe, a head coach's job is to prepare a team. You know, we can talk about all these X's and O's, but part of it's just being ready to step out on the field and compete. And this group's done that real well all year, and I don't really believe the first half we were ready to compete like we needed to be. And so I'll take the blame for that because they're a great group. They compete, they work hard, and I think we maybe learned some things that I'm glad we learned before we get down to district and about competing. And then yet I thought second half we played with a lot more intensity. Still, when you play someone like Clovis, if you don't take advantage of every opportunity, though, they're going to eat up enough clock. And Goddard will do the same type of thing, as well. They'll eat up a lot of clock. So we've got to get prepared to score when you get the football, and we just didn't do that effectively against Clovis. And again, credit them that they do play good defense. They're not going to give up the big play, but the other end of it, I think we have a lot to learn about how we can kind of come better prepared than what we did. And I'll take the blame for that and get back to work on it for district.
Well, I know, as you said, the second half, the Bulldogs looked rejuvenated there coming out that second half. Held them scoreless in the second half. Got 7 points up on the board, so we actually won the second half. But, but that's not the way it works,
No, that's not the way it works. Got to put more than 7 points, and realistically, that's what I think it boils down to. We've got to score more than 7 points. We expect to win football games, and we will. We'll do better down the line, and just didn't get some things done.
Well, coming off of that 42-point scoring game and then coming back to just scoring 7 points, I know that had to be frustrating not only for you and the coaching staff, but for the players themselves.
It was, and again, I think it's easy too, as you said, our defense is starting to improve and get better, and we're all a team. We win, lose, early, late, whatever. But the other part is we've moved the ball well this year, and maybe some frustration at this point we're going to look at as a positive that maybe it'll help us focus on that. You better every Friday night. It's not a given that you're going to put points on the board. You better get ready to get it done.
Well, Andy Lopez, what a difference he makes in your offense this year. Nobody can say, well, our teacher's going to throw it every 3 out of 4 downs.
No.
He's a threat to run at any time, and I noticed even late in the ball game, you're not afraid to give him the ball and pick up those large 25-yard chunks of
No,
territory.
particularly when people do drop back and pass, and late in the game they're trying to be sure they didn't give up the big play. We have as much faith in getting the ball to Andy whatever way we can, and that he makes some big plays happen.
Well, Coach, I know you have the open date this week, and Bulldogs, do you work the same hours, or you go a little lighter during open week, or how do you do that?
We go lighter, and we really feel like this one came at a great time. We really want them two or three things we want to accomplish during open date. One is to have some goals of individually what we want to get better, improve, how we want to, and so each player has a goal, and then they'll fill back out into the week whether they've met that goal. I think the other thing, it's coming at a great time. Our 9 weeks is ending up. It's a good time to be sure that you're focused on the classroom and getting your studies. And then really the third thing you hope comes out of an open date is that instead of just going faster and faster, that maybe we get caught up as far as players being healed, rested, ready to go, and that we really feel like, because it is important to this group of young men, that they'll do those things this week, and that our open date's coming at a great time for us. We're really pleased where it is, and gives us a little bit of a, we're really not talking about Goddard this week, but we're definitely getting to work on a few things, getting ready for them, and so that's good too.
Well, you know, it doesn't matter who you are. When you go through a string of 5A teams like your team has, you're going to have some bumps and bruises.
We sure are.
And it's nice to have that time to heal up, you know, a banged up elbow or a skinned knee or something. Let it heal up a little bit. And it's got to make the players feel better when they go into that big game against the Goddard Rockets. And I know you're not talking about them right now, and we're going to save any questions we have until next time we talk. And we'll talk more about the Goddard Rockets then, and we'll talk about that victory over the Goddard Rockets, I hope.